So we are lovely.
Chantel.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put our code here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put code. Code is Chantel 20. So it's just Chantel 20.
Yep.
And then I'm going to put on, hi guys, I'm just putting in
Hello.
our code for this week, which is, well, I could do, do I do YovinoMD skincare. Hello everybody, welcome. Oops, I'm screwing this up already. Skincare dot, whoops, no emojis dot com. Perfect. So we are just putting the code there for, okay, it's for sunscreens. I didn't put that. Yeah. I almost mess up something. Well, I guess you can't put too much because then it's like taking up the whole thing. But let me just put that and pin it. Pin comment. Okay, so the code, hi everybody, welcome. So the code is going to be for 20, there's Chantel. She's going to split the screen. 20% off sunscreen. We're going to go live. Girl,
she really
look
is.
at you.
We love it.
Yeah, you are right. You are on it. Not that our other guests weren't, but you know, some. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, well, we are super excited that we have you with us. And the person that's actually more excited is my husband because he's a huge golfer, an avid golf fan, but he's just still, has he left the office yet?
I think he left the office.
He's running a teeny bit late. He had some couple patients. So he's going to be joining us and asking you all about the guys. And girls, I guess. So
I'll be prepared.
Yeah,
Yay.
Awesome. So welcome.
Yeah, I was
Thank
thinking
you.
to myself, like, she's going to get used to this, right? The husband's, you know, stuck in surgery, stuck with patients.
Yes.
You know, that's going to be your future.
Yeah, I heard your husband just finished ortho hand.
Yes, he
That's
just
exciting.
finished his fellowship. So I will be very used to the on-call and unpredicted schedule and dinner waiting at home with no one to eat it. But that's what you sign up for, I guess.
Right. All you have to remember is he doesn't really want to be at the hospital. And so if he's not home, it doesn't mean anything other than he's stuck at work, you know?
Right.
I know some other wives, that was always like an issue is that they were like, well, how come you're not home yet? And get mad at the husband. And he's like, you know, the last place I want to be is here. And, you know, we knew that because we lived that life.
Yeah.
Right. And my husband's like, I have to go to the hospital. I'm like, sucks for you. See you later. You know?
Yeah, it's funny.
Ortho.
What's that?
Where do you do ortho?
Where does he do ortho? Sorry, I missed you.
Where did he do his fellowship?
Oh, he did it right here in Orlando at RMC.
Okay.
Yep, that's where we met. So
Awesome.
not at the hospital, I should explain.
Yeah.
I wasn't like a patient like hitting on the doctor.
Yeah.
You're like, I have a broken pinky.
Yeah.
Help me, help.
Yeah.
This is missing something.
Yeah.
Right. That's so funny. So you're in Orlando now.
Yes, we finished his fellowship in Pittsburgh, and that was at the end of July, and we moved down here August 5th. So he's from the area, and Golf Channel headquarters were down here. So we met, and I'll tell a funny little story about our date. So I didn't know many people here, and there was a girl who we had like a friend in common. This person was, I didn't know her well. And I was like getting ready to leave Orlando. I'm like, you know, this isn't really a spot for a young adult who didn't go to school here and doesn't have family here. And lo and behold, this girl was like, oh, I've got the perfect guy for you. And I said, the number of times I've heard that, like everybody's trying to set somebody else up with the one. Yeah. And so I was very hesitant at first. And then she said, oh, well, he's a doctor. And I was like, oh God. So now I'm going to have to deal with an ego. And I was like, I'm on air. So there's already one person with an ego. I already call a claim on that.
Yeah.
And, anyway, she told me that he hunts and fishes. And I was like, oh, okay, actually I love the outdoors. So that actually might work out. And, anyway, so I took her phone and I was like chatting with him, pretending to be her because I didn't know her well. So I had to talk myself up because she didn't know me well.
Right.
And so anyway, he took my number and then we were liking each other's Instagram photos back and forth, but he wasn't making a move because he had been out of town. And was catching up with work, as you know. And so I finally sent him a DM. Literally, it went down in the DMs. And I was like, so I'm really not home in Orlando all that often. So I think you should take advantage of the time that I am here and would love to hang out with you. And we went on a date and moved in 2 weeks later.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
Right?
Oh, that
Bam.
was your first date, and then 2 weeks later?
Yeah, well, it was our first date, and then 2 weeks after that, we moved in together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. We moved in and like 2 weeks later I was out.
Yeah, that was after 6 years.
Yeah.
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 We didn't.
So what
People
do you
didn't know
like
what
to
they were
hunt?
signing up for coming on Instagram Live.
Right.
Right?
That's so funny.
That's hilarious. My dad's a big game hunter, or he used to be, but yeah, he loves hunting. So I grew up in a hunting household.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do you do any bow hunting yourself?
No, he wasn't bow. He was more like, gun and whatever.
Mhm.
But we owned a big property in northern Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, and he had a big ranch, and there was deer on the area, and so he would go deer hunting every year. But if you didn't in Michigan, some of them would starve. So it's kind of like population control. And they only killed one a year. But yeah,
Right.
I grew up with that. But we won't tell anybody. Shh.
Secret's out. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's
secret's
mad now because once Matt and I started dating, we play golf quite a bit, obviously in Florida and obviously with my job. So now he does far more golfing than hunting, and then I get obviously blamed for that. But
Yeah.
we're outdoors, we're having a good time. Leave us
Yeah.
alone.
So for all of the people watching now, Chantel is a sports reporter. That's how we met. And gosh, how long have you been doing this? Like, I mean, I remember we first kind of met back when you were covering the hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good memory.
So
Yes.
long ago, right?
That feels like forever ago. And it's funny because there's been girls that have like followed in my footsteps and have obviously taken that job after me. And the girl who's doing it now is like 24. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ancient. And I'm
funny.
only 31. So
Right.
why am I so worried about that? But yeah, it's been since 2012, and it's kind of funny. You and I have randomly like stayed connected.
I know.
Social
I know.
media is bad in so many ways, but then there's little sparks of goodness like this.
Right. It's so great.
But for you, it hasn't only been golf, because she was letting my husband in. She was mentioning lacrosse.
Yes.
Who was captain of the female lacrosse team?
Is that right?
That was me.
What position did you play?
God, it was so long ago. I don't remember. It was one of the ones that was like offense and scorer.
You were a midi. You were
Yeah,
a midi.
I don't remember even the name at this point. But I did that, and then I actually played like club lacrosse at University of Michigan when I was like first starting.
Wow,
out
I didn't know
there.
that.
I love it.
Lacrosse team. Yeah. so
That's
I
a
did
good
that.
workout.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And so
I like it.
Go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
No,
I like
talking
it
to my
better than
friend,
soccer.
Let's go ahead. I was talking to
I
one
like
of
it
my
better than. Go ahead.
I was talking to one of my patients about lacrosse, and because he just got a puppy, and I said how I grew up with dogs and how our dog chewed up my sister's lacrosse stick, and I was like, all the rawhide on it, and he's like, rawhide? Wow, that was an old lacrosse stick. Like, it's been a while since we played.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since they stopped making them with rawhide, but I have never gotten on board with soccer, and I find lacrosse to be like the best sport there is out there in terms of like a team sport. I mean, I'm biased because I love golf, but everybody told me that lacrosse would be so much like hockey, and I didn't think. I mean, basically their positioning is similar, but other than that, it's very different. But I never played basketball, so maybe you could speak to that. Do you think it's more similar to basketball?
Lacrosse?
Yeah.
No. Maybe like soccer and the amount that you have to run and the field size and things like that.
The running, yes, but the strategy, everybody says it's so much similar to basketball. But
I mean, I don't know. Not maybe. I looked at it more like soccer, but
yeah.
But so, and I know you also did hockey.
Yes.
So there's a big difference between the refinement of a hockey player and a golf player. If I can say
Very
it.
well said.
Yeah. So how's that? I mean,
It's two different worlds, and the change of pace, quite literally, from golf to hockey was obviously day and night. I mean, you twiddle your thumbs, or at least it feels like, because guys are walking to their ball, and obviously on the other hand, you've got 170 players all out on the course at once, so something is always happening, but most of the time there's only a few noteworthy things happening in a 15-minute window. So it's really an interesting art to go from almost like staying engaged and prioritizing what to be cautious of and careful of when guys are all out on the course at the same time, and in a morning and afternoon wave, and budgeting time and figuring out, for pregame, where to get the stories and how to get those. If a guy finishes his round at like noon the day before, but he's going to be on the course in the afternoon, and you've got a show before he gets out there. So it's interesting because, like in hockey, everybody's there at the same time, and you know exactly when your availability is, and there's a lot less flexibility, which makes it more on a routine basis. And obviously the weather in golf too is so unpredictable, and you got to fill an hour show. So there's a lot of differences. And I thought, oh, it's TV. I mean, it's same stuff, different sport. And that was a rude awakening. But yeah, 4 years into it, I am all in on golf. So I can't wait to talk to your husband.
Yeah. Now, how would your like skincare routine and your makeup vary from an indoor hockey arena, which is cold, to the outside hot golf course, which is outdoors? How would you change?
So I am embarrassed because I am as frugal as it gets. So when I see a sale at Sephora, even if it's like not my perfect shade, I'll just grab it and I'll throw it on. But I am admitting this, and I feel like such an Instagram model right now. But so I brought my old stuff that I used to use as part of my routine, and literally this is what you can get at TJ Maxx. So it's, I don't know if you want me talking about other brands, but so this Strivikin right here, whatever it is, this is like always like, oh yeah,
it's always at TJ Maxx.
Yes. For sure. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, what the heck? Why not? And then the Ole Henriksen, which I've had for a little while. And so I would use those, and especially outdoors for golf when obviously you're playing where it's warm and sunny, and the protection is something that I always like, oh yeah, I'll just throw some sunscreen on. And but the problem is you're out there for sometimes up to 12 hours at a time with little shades. So I really had to start paying attention to it. And especially in the golf world, a lot of people say, you really, really, really should be wearing not just stuff on your face, but the layers of protection too, with clothing and the protection in that. So I was really excited because truthfully, I had not really had a skincare routine. I had just tried recently microneedling, and I thought I was a psycho because I really enjoyed the sensation of it. And my friends were like, did you use the numbing cream? And I'm like, no, I like really actually enjoyed it. It was like a massage. And they're like, okay, that's not normal, which I don't know. Is it normal or not? Do people use numbing cream or no?
Yes, because because you have like 12 to sometimes, more needles being stamped in your face at a very fast rate, and it can be very painful. Were you bloody at all?
So I need to go to rehab for this, is what you're telling me.
Were you bleeding? Like, what did they?
No, I was not bleeding. And I mean, obviously I was a little bit red and tender in some places, and it lasted for a few hours. And yeah, I mean, that was right before COVID. So it's just crazy timing that you guys had reached out. Anyway, so I will admit, and I don't want to hear anybody on TV try to say that they don't do anything, because all of us do Botox. And I want to come around personally and slap people across the face who say, oh, I don't do anything. It's like, come on, sweetie. I've been getting Botox since I was 25. And I always said, I'm going to get out of TV the day that I need Botox. Well, guess what? That would have been at 25 years old. So suck it up, buttercup. So anyways, it's crazy how, I mean, even just my frown lines, but really my 11s were the most prominent. And so I had to get that taken care of immediately. I will say though, whenever I go and I started with Botox, and now I'm really a Dysport fan, but that's like I'm all in on it. But every time I go in, they're like, you want me to do your crow's feet too? I'm like, excuse me, at my own pace, please. It's like when you go to get a wax, like down there, and they say, oh, want me to do your lip and eyebrow too? I'm like, thank you, but I was feeling confident that I didn't have an issue in those places. But
Right.
anyway, so I'm super grateful because I kid you not, I haven't been able to go in and get my Botox, and I am so obsessed with this. My 11s are hardly there, and I've been out in the sun and not as great about putting sunscreen on as I normally am. And I'm like, this is like a little magic potion. And I never believed people ever. I've got all these Asian friends with great skin. They're like, try this, try this, try this. I'm like, not with that price tag.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, no skin is worth that. And I am just, anyways, so that's your advertisement. You
That
can
is our
box it up and sell it.
serum. You're talking about our Wrinkle Erase Serum.
Yes.
This is awesome because it will build up your collagen and elastin. And it's a little, can you see that, like little serum?
Yes.
All over. Sorry, my ring's on there. But,
And it will decrease all your fine lines.
and boost your collagen and elastin by almost like 200%, 180%.
I could not believe my eyes. That's
There
that's
is a
how crazy
discount
it is.
code below. It's Chantel 20, but that's for our sunscreens. We did it for our sunscreens. But David, I see your name right there. If you do want another product, then DM me and I can give you a special code. I'll lift the Chantel 20 to be more products, but right now it's only for our 2 sunscreens because we figured our sports defense sunscreens would be perfect for you.
I screwed up the ad there.
No. No,
Play
that's so perfect. Yeah, it makes a world of difference when you use like medical grade skincare as opposed to, you can buy high-end products, right? Or you could go to Sephora and buy high-end products, but it's going to be completely formulated different as opposed to a medical grade. So when you are investing in skincare, which, you know, most people, I'm 35, you said you're like, 31. When you're in your like 30s type thing, you know, it's definitely a good time to kind of like put the TJ Maxx stuff aside and bring in the big dogs, you know?
Yeah, because the level of products in the stuff that you buy, like over the counter, will never be as strong as, you know, ours, and then it won't penetrate as deep into the skin. So the results, you know, eventually, you know, you'll get some result, but it won't be like this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my mom she has perfect skin, hardly an ounce of crow's feet. She doesn't have the 11s. I got that for my dad, and she used to go out with the baby oil even on her face. And, you know, some people just, everybody's skin is different, of course, but so I never grew up with watching somebody have a skincare routine. And so I was just kind of winging it myself. Like, oh yeah, do I really need that? I don't know. I'm young at this point. Like if I'm going to be using a product for years and years and years, I don't want to start when I'm 20 and like be hooked. It's like literally almost like a drug.
Right.
And so I was so resistant to it for so long, but it's funny because I'm like very adamant, and I know we've talked about this, like about what I eat now. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to continue to put junk food in, and I'm really anti like what the FDA allows in our food, and every product that we consume, whether that's lotions, potions, whatever, that other countries have hundreds of those things banned. So I'm very meticulous now about what food I get. And so, skincare is the exact same thing in a different form. So it's funny, like the philosophy, like really reaches every part of your life if you think about it.
Well, sure. Yeah, it's the same. I always equate it to like, you know, a house that you let like, you know, leak and, you know, windows break and parts, you know, eventually it just gets all dilapidated. But if you constantly fix things, it can look like mint condition, you know, 40 years later, 50 years later. It's the same thing with your skin. If you're constantly feeding it, it's going to look, you know, youthful and young, and you'll need less things in the future. Like maybe you don't need a facelift. Whereas in the past, where people just kind of let themselves go and was out in the sun all the time, at 40, they look like, you know, now our 70-year-olds or our 60-year-olds. Like they really needed a facelift at 40, 45, definitely by 50. Now people don't get facelifts, you know, until they're like maybe much older in life, or maybe they can get away with not doing it at all because they do these other procedures like microneedling with radio frequency, lasers, things like that keeps you taut.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a whole new world to me, but it couldn't have been more perfect timing, especially because obviously with COVID, and I think that people are starting to think about these things long term, and I know I am. I mean, the other thing that you guys had passed along to me was this filler in a bottle, and I absolutely love that as well. So I wanted to ask you guys what your favorite products were, because I'm assuming it's these three because you sent them, but.
Well, definitely the Wrinkle Erase and the filler in the bottle are a dynamic duo that will give you like the most glowing result. But I also love a retinol on top of that. We have like, 4 different ones, one for the eye and 3 different strengths for the face. For me, I think the one product that was like made the biggest impact all these years was probably being consistent with the retinol.
Yeah.
Because the retinol really goes in and keeps your skin thick. It goes in and causes your body to, like the genes, to produce new collagen. It keeps you youthful for much longer. I've told Ashley this 100 times, but I had this patient when I was like in my early 30s, and she was like 85, and her name was Esther, and she had the most beautiful skin, and except for like the edges, and I was like, Esther, your skin looks so amazing. Like, what have you done? She's like, oh, I've always used a retinol. And I was like, from that point on, I was like, I need to get my hands on this retinol. And so from that point on, I always used retinol. But I just made sure I went all the way to the hairline because she only went in the center. And you could see the difference, like, in the edges of her skin. So neck, décolleté, face.
That is a true pro tip, because I could see myself just like doing the areas that seem obvious to me, but not like going all the way over.
Right.
Which is
or
also
your neck.
Yeah,
a lot of people forget the neck.
Issue with sunscreen. People just sunscreen their face and they don't sunscreen their neck and their chest, and then there's a mismatch.
Right. That is my biggest. So outside of my 11s, I mean, I swear since I was like 12 years old, I have always had just sun damage on my neck. And it's so frustrating because I always put sunscreen all the way over here, because people always say, oh, when you're outside, you don't think about your ears. So I always make sure to squirt my ears. And while I'm there, do this. And it's like, it's not doing anything for me. So that part frustrates me too.
But, in Florida, it's hot, and I'm sure you're in a tank top a lot.
Yeah.
Or in a V-neck t-shirt.
Right.
And, after about
after
about an hour after about an hour and a half, that sunscreen's no longer effective. So if you don't reapply it, now it's as if you have nothing on.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a good point. It's the stuff that we don't think about, but it creeps up on us, and day in and day out, it wears it down like the old rusty house.
Right. And when you're on the golf course, what are you wearing for like facial protection? Are you just sunscreen, or you wear a hat, or?
Yeah, I don't really wear a hat just because I can't go on air with a hat. So that's kind of the downside to it. I mean, I guess I could, because I have that big headset on over my head with the antenna. So, and I can't wear a cap, so you can't see my eyes. So I guess there's an alternative that I could wear a bucket hat over that and like put a hole in it. But I mean, let's be realistic. That's not happening.
You could walk around with an umbrella.
I could. And you know what? I actually do that. People make fun of me, and because I guess I used to make fun of them and say, really, is that necessary? And then again, when I've started to think about this stuff over the last year, I'm like, I don't care if you're judging me. My skin's going to look fine as hell in 10 years and yours isn't. Bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I know I do use an umbrella from time to time. Again, it's kind of like one of those things where tracking an umbrella, it sounds so silly, but when you're running around the golf course, it's not as straightforward as it sounds. But in terms of like what kind of sunscreen I use, I actually really enjoy Neutrogena because I do think it's like light enough, and I think it's good protection too.
It is really good. It is really good.
Yeah.
Do you have are you able, when you're out in the field and are you walking with certain players, or are you able to reapply when you're out there? Are you able to have maybe a little bit of makeup with you, or is it just you, the microphone, and your crew?
Totally depends. Some days, if somebody shot 4 birdies in a row, then we've got to like run over to them, and there's no second guessing or thinking twice. And so I won't have a chance to reapply. But I would say for the most part, I have, which again, people will hate on me and say, really, you're going to throw makeup on before? Well, yes, my job is about the aesthetics of it.
For
so
sure.
if I have the chance, then hell yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah.
So who's the cutest player in real life?
Let's see. I can tell you who, I mean, let's see. I wouldn't say the cutest. I'd say the most enjoyable conversation. How's that for an answer?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I really enjoy Justin Thomas because he's real, and I appreciate just candid people who are straight shooters. And he is pretty thoughtful with what he says. He'll show you when he's frustrated, and you know, he doesn't think that because you're a reporter, and I've seen him with fans like this too. He doesn't think people are out to get him, which I can totally understand why athletes, you know, feel that way, because you can think about what's posted on Twitter and any kind of social media about athletes, and sometimes it's misconstrued, sometimes it's not the whole truth, sometimes it's like one bit, you know, we've all seen like small bits of sound bites that are totally out of context. So I will give him a lot of credit that, I mean, he's 25 years old and he acts like he's 35 years old. You can talk to him about a lot of different things. So I enjoy him. Couple of like guys that might not be on people's radar. Lonto Griffin, who just finished his first season on the PGA Tour. I don't know if you're into beards, but he's got a beard. Maybe you like that. A lot of people really think that Dustin Johnson's cute, or there's a debate, I guess, between Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. So I want you to pull up their pictures when you get a chance and tell me.
Listen, my husband makes me watch golf from Thursday to Sunday every week, except this last week, which I had to watch it till Monday because of the FedEx challenge or whatever cup. You know, so I know they all look like, girl.
That's awesome. So who do you think is the cutest?
You know, that's a hard one. I mean, Brooks has got the body. I mean, if I'm looking from, you know, from the backside.
That is funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're all young and cute, you know. You know,
Most
Ashley's
of that.
connection. Ashley stood up at one of their weddings. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Tell me.
Yeah. Ellie Day is one of my good friends. Jason Day's wife.
No, could you imagine if I said Jason Day? You'd be like,
Yeah, I know. Jason is cute. He's got a cute face.
that's hysterical. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's funny because we actually, this was my first year ever working as a sports reporter, and I was still working at Sephora part-time, and I met Ellie this was at the Memorial Tournament. I met her for, you know, Jason's post-round interview, and I met her there. And then literally like 2 hours later, I had to like run to Sephora to like close at Sephora, and her and Jason come to Sephora, and she was like, wait a minute.
Oh my God.
I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, it's kind of like just what I had to do then, you know what I mean? So we just like instantly like connected, and I ended up doing her makeup for her wedding, and
What a story.
I know.
Weren't you a bridesmaid?
No, I wasn't in the wedding.
I tell everyone she's a bridesmaid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, doing your makeup for the wedding and the bridesmaid, it's like just as important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that is so crazy that basically, I mean, by chance encounter, you have
Right.
that night after.
I know.
And you probably, when you went to work, were like, oh my God, dragging it.
I was dreading. I'm like, how the heck am I going from interviewing Tiger Woods to like cleaning the bathrooms at Sephora, you know?
Right. And then the hustle ended up paying off. I love
really
those
did.
stories.
It really did, yeah. So it's definitely a funny
Really?
story. Yeah, I know. And I love, like, I mean, his career, like, since that was, I can't even remember when that was. That was maybe 2008, 2009.
Wow.
Pre-meltdown or post-meltdown?
This was a long time ago, 2000. Yeah. So,
That is you. Wow. Did you see anything else on the golf course?
yeah, right. So funny.
Or should we ask, did you do anything?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Ashley, what you gonna tell us?
Yeah.
Were there a lot of players at the wedding?
No, not really. You know, they're very like they're pretty private. You know, they still live in Ohio.
Right. The only one.
Right. like so fascinating, you know, to be from Australia and like you're living in Ohio, you know.
Yeah,
but
they all live in Jupiter, you know.
Jupiter. Some of them live out near you guys in LA. So a lot of them live in Phoenix now too. That's like the new hot spot. And Vegas and Phoenix are like
gets hot though. I mean,
right?
Not like Jupiter doesn't. I mean, Florida's hot,
different hots,
but different hot. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Phoenix gets hot.
Yeah.
We need to get them on board, and because some of them got some wrinkles they got to take care
of.
Oh
my gosh. For sure. I mean, a lot of them don't even do anything. We've tried the men's skincare and tried, you know what I mean? And we've got men's regimens and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and guys love it. I mean, my husband uses the filler in a bottle and loves it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like instantly smoothing. Your skin feels just so soft. Like
it's my
I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was
contain-
like, this is gonna be like goopy. It's gonna be like putting on primer, and I was like, oh my gosh, not at all. It's like totally.
It contains 4 different hyaluronic acids, which hyaluronic acid is what is in dermal fillers. So when you get injected with fillers and things like that, you know, it's the same ingredient, but 4 different like sizes to penetrate all different levels of your skin and hydrate.
I'm so glad I'm learning this. So then when people ask me about it, I can actually explain it to them. Like, I don't know, it works.
Yeah. Right.
It's always helpful when you can like actually explain a little bit and understand it. But I had some questions that I wanted to ask you about skincare. I came with like a little bit of
this is great.
Okay, so these are like myth busters, but I always like assume them to be true. Okay, so do tomatoes help clear your skin?
Tomatoes. I don't know if I've ever
Yes.
heard that.
I've heard
Why?
that
Because
eating
that
tomatoes
5-minute
make your
crafts-
skin clear.
On that 5-minute crafts, the person takes their burger and with the tomato sauce and rubs it all over their face and shaves with it. Is that where you're getting from?
No, like eating them, right?
You know, it does contain acids within it. I mean, and people use salicylic acid, lactic acid, and glycolic acid for like sloughing off dead skin. I guess, and you know, if you think of it that way, could it help? You know, maybe, but people don't routinely use tomato sauce for any kind of beauty regimen, I don't think.
Not a beauty regimen. I had heard that eating tomatoes for whatever reason,
eating them.
Yes. It makes your skin clearer. And I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or what.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard that either.
Haven't heard that. Okay, maybe that's a New England thing. Maybe that's what they told me to eat, so I would eat tomatoes, but it worked. So okay, so how much water should you drink a day for your skin?
So you're supposed to drink your weight, half your weight in ounces.
Okay.
So, so if you're like, whatever, say you're 140, you should be drinking 70 ounces minimum of water a day. You can kind of look at it that way. And then it equates 8 ounces as a glass. So you're drinking 7 to 8 glasses a day. Right.
Does it matter if you have infused water, like with lemons or strawberries or anything like that?
No, that can like make it taste better. So if you're somebody who doesn't drink a lot and you want something that's flavored, it can help incentivize somebody to keep drinking. But it's not like, you're getting, you may get a little vitamin C and other little additives, but you're also increasing sugar and stuff like that. So some people who are very strict on their diet, plain water is always the best.
Yeah. Which is, I have no
and
problem.
you can go overboard. You can actually go overboard with water too. So you don't want to drink too much water. Like you don't want to drink 5 gallons of water thinking the more I drink, the better, because what you end up doing is you end up over diluting your electrolytes, and low sodium levels can lead to issues. Low sodium potassium can lead to issues.
That makes sense. I've heard people
can die from water intoxication. Actually,
I've heard it's obviously super rare, but
it's super rare. But that's someone who's drinking like gallons and gallons of water a day. Like it's not, you can't do that.
Yeah, of course. And it all depends what humidity you're into, I'm sure, that kind of stuff. So are there any foods that do help your skin?
Well, any like low refined sugars, low carb, things like that. Anything that your sugars and things like that can cause you to break out a little bit more. I don't think like, okay, if you eat chocolate, you're going to all of a sudden break out, but keeping like normalcy in your diet. Ashley's actually a nutritionist as well. So she can probably talk to you more specifically about that.
I think like one of the biggest things that a lot of people look at when they're struggling with their skin and then their food is really dairy.
And gluten.
Yeah, dairy and gluten. And the thing with gluten and stuff like that is not so much like acne, but it's really like redness, little rashes, things that can kind of come up in the skin that people will notice when they're, not eating gluten, that their skin just naturally gets better, smoother texture, things like that. So gluten and definitely dairy, and for anyone who is struggling with like all of a sudden they're getting cystic acne and things like that, looking at food and the amount of hormones that you're ingesting through your food, some people say is like a good thing to do because it can also kind of show you like, okay, maybe you want to, get the protein or the poultry and stuff that doesn't have all of the hormones in it and things like that. So, but really dairy, I think, is the biggest one that I notice people have like a direct connection to how their skin looks. I would say dairy is like the biggest one.
Are hormones only given to animal products, or do they don't put like sprinkle it to make the vegetables grow more, do they?
Right, no. Yeah. But they have GMOs for that.
I was going to say that's GMOs, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like the same thing, but
right,
plant or animal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I am like still cracking up that you thought I was putting tomato sauce on my face. Which, to be fair, would have been a totally normal assumption given the fact that I was on the TG Maxx vibe.
Yeah. No more TJ Maxx skincare.
Right. No. I have earned some good stuff.
Put the Heinz on your face?
Yeah.
Your face. I'm gonna go back and screenshot that because that was hysterical.
That's so funny.
We're like trying to be polite. Yeah, the tomatoes. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I don't have good poker face.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny. So you're in Orlando now. What things are you like? What has work been like with you with COVID and things like that?
It's been crazy, which is why it's funny talking about this because I mean, we really have dumbed down more or less all of the shows. Like we went from doing a full hour at least pre and post game show, and a lot of the weeks it's only a half hour post game show. So things have totally changed and people are hosting from home. I can tell you that was actually, one of the things I want to bring up as a side note is maskne, because I read that on the website and I was like, oh my, I've never had acne until wearing these masks. Fortunately, right. I'll just finish this thought, but on air, obviously from home, I'm not wearing a mask, but that was just, no fun. Talk about like not needing sunscreen. I was indoors in Pittsburgh of all places. And so going outside, it was like 50 degrees up until May, really. So it was a completely different lifestyle. Obviously, everybody went through their own demons and still is. But yeah, it's still not back to normal. Nobody obviously knows when it will be. The good thing is that golf has been the most normal. It's been traveling all over the country and there's been 0 cases since the first 3 weeks. So they've they've managed it in a way that is actually impressive. Since I thought it was interesting, everybody who goes on site, like myself as a reporter, when I have gone out there, they didn't have me take a test. So I was surprised that they were able to control so much, given the fact that even though we're social distancing, it's hard to not touch the same surfaces ever. So I don't know how they've done it, but they have like really, really pulled it together. So we're fortunate compared to the other sports. But okay, so back to the maskne, because I haven't broken out since I was like 14. And now I've got people like, it's not from the mask. I'm like, oh, then why does it outline the mask?
Yeah.
So hello from Atlanta and hello from Scotland. We have 2 people watching it from Atlanta.
Scotland.
Just want to say hi, do a little shout out. But the maskne is real. And so if you reuse your mask, you're going to want to definitely throw it out or spray it down and try to clean it frequently. But, you know, we have that blog on YovinoMD Skincare where we kind of go over all the things that you can do. You definitely want to keep your face clean. You want to consider not wearing makeup because it's going to clog your pores. You're breathing into this hot mask and, you know, it's steaming your skin. So if you touch your face or have bacteria already on it, you're kind of trapping it in there. You know, there's certain things that you definitely want to do and be careful of.
I'm wearing a new mask every day because just for me, it's like right here. And then I have like not a ton right here, but really when the mask sits right here in this whole area really has been disturbed.
Yeah, you have a little bit right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went from having like clear skin. The best. You know what I mean? And now it's like a little suspect down here.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a different mask. I mean, I have like 7 that I put on a rotation and then I throw them into the wash. So I mean, rare occasions do I use the same one, but down here in Florida, it's the heat when you have to wear it.
Yeah.
And it just traps in there. And so I actually went onto your blog and started reading about it. And I'm like, the heat is just one of those things that you have to deal with. I mean, it's like I have to like lift it up and wipe it down in between.
But that's where you have to be careful with COVID, because when you're taking your hand and you're wiping your sweat off, you can be transferring the virus to your face. So you have to be very careful when you do that. Like only do it with like a clean tissue or something. You know,
I only do it when I go to the bathroom because God forbid somebody, you know, catches me wiping off the mask.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have to get like your temperature checked though when you're on like, you know, on site?
They do COVID testing, don't they, every time?
No, they don't do COVID testing. They do a temperature check, and you have to, every single day you go on, you kind of fill out a survey basically that says, you know, I'm not experiencing symptoms, like, you know, things that they ask you anywhere you go these days, basically. So yeah, it's worked so far. So good for them.
Yeah.
So we have somebody that's saying, Dave Selleck is saying that in Scotland, they have silicone inserts that you put over your skin and it acts like a barrier so you don't get the mask knee. But then what happens when you take the mask off? You look kind of weird, peeling off all the silicone.
Oh, right.
Huh. Wow. Works well. Damn.
Yeah.
Send some from Scotland.
Yeah. We'll try it.
I've never been to Scotland. I want to go to Scotland.
Yeah, I've never been either.
It's so beautiful over there.
I haven't been either, actually. That's that was a bucket list. Oh, I see my sister-in-law, future sister, has reached out. You guys are so much better Instagram Live than me. This is like, you're like giving shout outs. I'm like reading like an old lady like this.
Yeah. He's like, no, you don't. It's cold. So Scotland's cold right now, but it is beautiful. I do want to go. When's the best month to go over, I wonder?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ireland, too.
Ireland is
from Ireland, right? Rory McIlroy.
That's right. Northern Ireland. You're doing a good job, Sarah. I love it.
You know, he's all about everybody. And, you know, DeChambeau had some, like, you know, he was getting a lot of press right at the beginning when he first came out. Yep.
Look at you, sports reporter.
I've been watching it.
I'm going to text you stuff so you can, like, tell your husband when you are watching with him. You'll be like, oh, did you know he has, like, 5 top 10s at this event? And he'll be like...
And didn't Brooks hurt his, like, knee or something? Didn't he just hurt himself?
He did. He WD'd. I am so impressed.
Girl, I know all this stuff. Here comes my husband. This is Mr. Golfers, Dr. Justin. Here, sit right here.
Hello.
Whoa. Hi.
Whoa. Comes in hot.
Coming in hot.
I was just about
Oh my
to get
God,
my
aren't
golf
you just
clubs
the
and my
cutest
golf
duo?
glove on.
I love it. I was creeping. I saw you got out and played I guess it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I've actually been playing a lot. You know, I've been trying, like, my goal this year was to break 80, right? Which is really hard, right?
Yes.
I've always been like, you know, high 80s, low 90s, and I've put so much effort. In high school, I played golf, and I got the 110% award because I tried so hard. Practice. But the game is so hard, right?
If people watch and are like, these aren't real athletes, I'm like, okay, well, you try to mentally put yourself in that prison.
Yeah, no, it's like, and you know, and God, I could talk about golf forever, but you know, a lot of times, you know, the great thing about Tiger Woods when he at his prime was that he was so animated and so fist pumping and doing things that typical golfers don't do because it's hard to do that because then all of a sudden you're you're out of your zone. You're out of your focus. If you let yourself, like if you look at Dustin Johnson, right? He's playing the best ever right now.
Right.
And he is like very like flat, right? He doesn't show much emotion. I mean, he made that like 60-foot putt and he like barely fist pumped, right? Yeah, right. You know, and the reason for that is because it's staying in his zone, right? If you let yourself get too emotional out there, good or bad, it throws you off, right? You know?
Well, what's crazy to me is that that's just his personality. Like, I've never seen him show emotion with anything, but yet it's not like he's done everything correct, you know? Like, he's had a lull as well. I mean, you look at his career and 23 wins, it's like, oh my God, how can you call anything a lull? But it's so interesting to me how, like, sometimes for people with those personalities, like you said, who can block everything out, it will work, but then it doesn't work all the time. But I mean, Tiger perfected it. And what I miss so much about golf, I don't know how long you've been a diehard, but like, Tiger was mean. And I hate the hand holding now. I think it's nice that everybody, like all the players, you know, are respectful and, you know, go and wait around for the guy who won to, you know, get the trophy and give him high fives and hugs and all that. I think that's thoughtful. But Tiger was a mean mofo. Like, he did not want anybody waiting for him. And I thought that competitive edge, I don't know if we'll ever see it again, because now if you do that, it's like a completely different culture. And so I don't know if it works like it would have like 10 and 15 years ago. Yeah.
You didn't get to really see. I knew that about him being tough like that, and he wasn't the friendliest guy out there. But man, it's like you almost have to do that to be that at that level, you know, unfortunately, at least for him, you know. But you didn't get to really see that on TV, right? You didn't see that edge of it. But I watched a lot. I've been a diehard for a long time. But, you know that was the way he was just from other people kind of talking about it a little bit. You didn't see it so much on TV.
Right.
But he also came out and crushed it. And then, you know, they're making comments, oh, what's he going to serve, you know, when he gets that green jacket, you know, and they're talking about, what were they saying?
Well,
like,
that's different. Yeah, that was the
so,
racial thing that
but I mean, but they said it enough times that it's like, you know, I don't know how I'd respond if I went out there and was playing. I'd probably be like, you know.
Well, I think about on the emotion side, who's the, I'm blanking on, Jordan Spieth, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he's very emotional out there, right? I mean, you see it. You see him, you know, like banging a club or getting really down on himself, or you know, and I don't know, it's his career. He's not where he was, right? You know, before. So is that affecting him? I don't know. It's interesting to watch all these different players. Or like
it's a case
Fowler,
study.
He's so friendly and nice and funny guy, and you know, but he's not winning, right?
Right. Well, you think about it, like a lot of people say that, oh, you know, Tony Finau, he's only won in an opposite field event. And so people say, well, what's holding him back if he has nothing but top 10, top 5 finishes, especially in majors? Like, what's the deal? And I think it comes down to the fact that it's not that he doesn't want it bad enough. It's that, I mean, truly, there's something like a gear in people's minds that's like, I'm going to beat this person. And I'm not saying he doesn't have that, but a lot of people talk about that being the missing piece of him having a really solid Sunday and, you know, putting his foot down, coming down the stretch. So I don't know.
Right. You say you got to want it, but it may, you know, maybe it's not everybody can do that, obviously.
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like a mean streak is required to be a finisher, you know? Yeah.
I know. Maybe I'm too nice.
I was just
That's my
say,
problem.
that goes along with the nice guys finish last. I mean, what am I endorsing here?
You know what? Back to me, like I'm trying so hard. I've been playing, like last week I played three times, and I've also hit the range, and I've been reading, like I read Ben Hogan's book, you know, like I'm trying to, like, I'm really working on it, but it's getting worse.
My dad's like, he should just put those books down and just go back to the way he used to play.
I shot an 82 last weekend, which was my best round since like high school, right?
That's awesome.
And honestly, I had three putts, and I wasn't putting that bad. I lipped out three putts, you know, I lipped them around. And so I should have been in the 70s. And then I'm like, okay, I got this. You know, like golf's funny like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm finally here. The swing felt great. I felt really confident. I'm like, I understood what I was doing. And my last 3 rounds have been high 90s. I was like, I was like shanking the ball, and I was just like topping it. I'm like, what's happening? You know, like,
It is,
and I'm trying so hard. You know?
it's so frustrating. My fiance started playing once we got together. He hadn't played, you know, more than a couple charity tournaments before we met. And so he's now like all dialed in. We play at least 3 times a week at the moment. But I was going to show you this training aid that we got because we played at a course in Florida and Celebration, and it was the perfect, you know, perfect sand and water and tree mixture. Not quite as many trees, but the rough is really up, so it will eat your ball if you don't hit a fairway, and then you're chomping out of there, and it makes the game miserable, as you know.
Yeah.
But so we went from playing both of our best rounds. I mean, he went birdie par birdie to start, and I'm like, oh my god. I mean,
Wow,
he went
yeah.
So I mean, for both of us, it was really good. I think I shot mid-90s, which for me is great. And then I got this tool. It's over in the corner, but I've got my pajama bottoms on, so I don't know if I want to demo with it, but I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay.
So I got this to help us put our keep our hands closer to our body when we swing, because what amateurs do is they always like put it so far out in front of them.
Yeah.
Well, this swing tool it's weighted, so it makes you like keep the club closer to you and practice that way. Well, so now I'm like topping the ball because I'm getting, or chunking the ball because I'm scooping it so much because it's such a different sensation for me, you know?
So you're hitting behind the ball now?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I went.
Shit, that's my problem. That's what I've been doing the last 3 rounds. All of a sudden, like I'd say most of my misses were behind the ball, and the swing felt great. But man, I'm trying to keep my hands close to me too. You know, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, but.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating because my swing coach will obviously like, you know, give me all of these things, but when I hear it from a different person, it's like, you know, hearing stuff from your mom and dad, and then, you know, your uncle tells you and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll actually listen this time. So my swing coach will tell me the same things over and over again. And so I was with a girlfriend who I work with, and she was just like, oh, you guys should try this. And like, just her approach was so different. So then we tried it. And I mean, I was sending her nasty text messages. I was like, listen, my swing was freaking awesome before, even though it wasn't conventional. And just to let you know, I don't care how far away from the ball that I stand. If I can hit my 3-wood 180, I'm in fine shape, and that will do it for me. And now I can't even hit the freaking ball. So you destroyed me, and I am coming for you.
Yeah, right? I don't know what is up with changing the swing, and then all of a sudden it all falls apart. You know, you mentioned the rough. I had something happen. You know, I've hit so many balls and played so many rounds of golf since I was a kid. And we were riding in car. I like walking, but I was playing with her dad, and we were all riding in carts, and we were playing in San Diego area, and I hit my ball off the fairway, and the rough was really thick. I mean, it was like someone hadn't cut their front yard, you know, in years, right? You know, it's kind of like that kind of rough. And I'm looking over there, I find my ball. And then I'm like, I can barely see it. So and I've got like 180 to the green. There's no way. So I have to go, I'm going to get my wedge and just hack it out and try to get on into the fairway. I go get my wedge. I come back. I can't find the ball again.
Oh my God.
It's super rough. I found it and then I lost it again. I never found my ball and then lost it again. And they were all looking and looking. I had to get people to come look for me. I'm like, this sucks. This rough sucks.
Oh my gosh. Sarah, do you play at all?
You know, I just barely started. I hit air more than I hit the ball at this point.
Well, that's okay.
I try to get her out there. So we have a par 3. So there's a course I play. It's called Rancho Park. It's a public golf course, and right next to it, they have a 9-hole. It's 2 miles from the house, so they have a 9-hole course, 9-hole par 3 course right next to it. And so I'll take her out over there, and that's easy because we can just carry a few clubs, and it's short. You know, it's not too daunting, and you're kind of already there at the green almost. They're all about 100 yards. So that's what we've been
I'm practicing on that.
I've dragged her out to the full course a couple times, but she's a little intimidated with that. So
it's so funny.
You've only dragged me out once.
It's only once?
It's only been one time.
I've offered many times, though.
And all right, Justin, I'm holding you to it. You got to bring her out a few more times before the end of the year.
And that was my first time ever playing golf. And I was like, couldn't even hit the ball. I was like,
first time on the course. So she's been to the range, and she's been on the par 3.
On the range, but probably less
when
than
she
5
says
times.
playing golf, that means being on a regular championships, you know.
Right.
Course.
But it's so intimidating. And I always, because people are like, oh my God, I would never play. And I was the same way. In college, I actually got an internship for a sports marketing group, and there was an LPGA Futures. It's now the Symetra Tour, which is their, minor league. They had a stop in New Hampshire, which is my home state. And so I was like selling the whole signage for that. And I'm like, what is this? So this girl came up to me. Ironically, I worked with her at Golf Channel years later, but her name was Sarah Brown, and she was on the show Big Break. Do you remember that show, Justin?
No, I don't know.
Oh, man,
I watch a lot of golf, but I watch the tournament, so I haven't seen anything outside of that too much. Besides kind of the morning drive, like when the tournaments hasn't started yet.
Aren't you on that? Are you on that?
I filled in on it. Yeah, I used to do a lot more of the shows in like 2015. But Sarah, like, no, she was like, didn't Brooks Koepka hurt his knee? I was like,
yeah.
Yes,
So I have not. Listen, that's all I care about to watch. Honestly, like when there's a tournament on, I put it on, and it's on all the time until she's like, can you turn this shit off? So we know it all. I know all the players, and I watch. I know all the swings, and she's like, I'll mention like Finau's short backswing, and he's one of the longest hitters. I'll mention that, and she's like, I don't notice any difference in the, so.
Yeah, those are the new ones. You gotta hang around for a little longer, and then
he's like, "Oh, did you see so-and-so shot? I'm gonna DM him right now and see, tell me he did a great shot."
Oh my God, that is so funny.
I mean, I like speaking of that, DMing, like what Bryson DeChambeau has done for the game has been great, because it's brought a lot of attention to it. And it's kind of brought in like regular play. Everybody wants to hit the crap out of the ball, right? And you got a lot of big guys out there playing anyway and swinging that, out of their. So it's kind of fun, It's fun, like watching them, play. I wish he would play better. I wish he'd get it all. I wish he'd straighten it out,
Yeah.
I wish he'd get his short game together a little bit more. I mean, he could really turn it on, because he wants it. He wants it so bad.
Well, we were talking earlier about the mental side of the game, and I can confirm he is definitely a character. He is. I mean, he's obviously expressive because he's never, not transparent about his feelings, but
he seems a little. He seems a little. Yeah, he seems. I mean, I don't know him, and I'm not talking shit, but he seems a little full of himself at this point. Some of his comments are kind of like he's on another level. He's on and I don't know. I'm not sure if you're seeing that or not. But I think a lot of people judge him. First of all, he's smart beyond belief. Like guys like Kevin Na will ask him for advice and say, hey, that weird ball floating thing that you were doing, what's that all about? So guys are actually, who've been around for a while are taking an interest in this. So I find that kind of compelling. But I get all the time people say, oh my gosh, he must be such a cocky asshole. And first of all, he always talks to the media, and I give him a lot of credit for that, because there are plenty of guys, and I don't know if fans don't really pay attention, but you might start paying attention to it now, that after, a bad round, you won't hear from them. And he will talk bad or good. So I respect that. And I think I feel like he has something to prove. So that's where the cockiness comes from, because he wants the science stuff he's a scientist trapped in a golfer's body. Yeah.
So I feel like he needs to make the golf work to justify all of the stuff that he's doing. I think he really genuinely loves the science side of it, but because the career path would be totally different if he went with that, he's got to make the golf stuff work. And he has. I mean, he's a, 5-time winner.
Yeah, it's working. He could do this all his career and be very successful, but I he wants to be number one. I want him to be number one. I want him up there. He's just getting no airtime right now. He didn't get any airtime for the FedEx, right? Because he wasn't he wasn't in the top. I like Kevin Na. Obviously, we all love Kevin Na. Like him walking in the ball, and the way he talks. He's obviously seems like really cool and easy guy.
Yeah, he's super fun. He looks out for the younger guys. I remember talking to his caddy, and he said that Kevin was basically a grown up in a kid's body for a while, and he's really matured as a father. And so I've only known him on the father side of things. He's got his cute little daughter, Sophia, who's always dressed up and running out onto the green. It's so cute. But so I only know the one side of him, but he really has because he has a house in Vegas. So I was telling Sarah and Ashley earlier that a lot of the one of the hubs now for golf is in
Vegas?
in Arizona, and the other's in Vegas. And so all of the guys right out of college who've moved there, he literally is like going out and playing money games with them. So I think that I just love hearing those stories, because I think it's so great, like when guys can pass things along. And could you imagine like being, you know, right out of school and having, you know, some of the top players in the world be like, oh, hey, you want to go play a practice round together?
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing.
I know. I think that I just love that camaraderie of it. I say that, and then I'm like, I want people to be mean like Tiger Woods.
Yeah. You know, that's I go out
to competition. I want them to dig in, and I want them to get mean.
Yeah, right. I want them to be playing hardcore and really like dropping bombs and making shots, and you know, like you want to see somebody dominate. I want somebody to dominate. You know.
Right.
I see how it's funny. I didn't think of it. Like John Rahm, he's out of Arizona too. He lives in Arizona, right?
Yes.
Like,
yep.
Those guys are they kind of moving a little bit away from Florida, huh? I mean, there's a lot of them in Florida, but
yeah, the hubs are Florida, and it seems like plenty are still there. But now Vegas has really taken over as a spot. So Kevin Na, Maverick McNeely, and I think Butch Harmon has a house there, and so that's why a lot of people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like I want to go see him. Yeah, get some lessons, man. You know, I think it's been a long time since I've had lessons.
All right.
I think.
What kind of clubs do you play?
So I've had they're old Callaways, Callaway irons from when I was in high school, actually. And so I've actually been, yeah, I know. So I've been actually looking. I was thinking about getting the new Taylormades, the P770s or 790s, whatever ones that just came out. They seems like a lot of people are playing with them. Do you have any suggestions on where I should?
I've got the ladies club, so I have nothing to say about that. But
you have what ladies clubs? You have the Taylormades?
Yes,
yeah.
I have Taylormade. I have cameo, which is really good, especially for amateur golfers, weekend golfers, like non-competitors like you'd be, Sarah. It's perfect because they have a lot of flex in the shaft. So when you hit it, the forgiveness is a lot better than when you have graphite shafts and stiff shafts, which might not mean anything to you right now, but Justin knows what I'm talking
Stiff
about.
shafts mean a lot to Justin.
Yes. So Justin, your job is to get her the Taylormade Calias.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because she doesn't have any clubs. I mean, we've been just kind of using some random ones. So
right. That's all you need for right now. But when you start going out to that executive par 3 course more, it'll be a lot more fun when you kind of like have a good feel of your clubs and kind of like know the weight of them. It sounds so silly, but once you like play with different ones, you'll be like, oh, these are heavier. They feel funny to hit. It's a strain. It's like tasting different waters. You're like, oh, that's like a little more minerally than, you know, the water I had, you know, at mom and dad's house, you know, like the well water.
Yeah.
It's like the small nuances like that where you're like, it's still water, but it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, I did get I have a Taylormade 3-wood. It's an M6 series, and it's great. I got that one early this year or late last year, and I like that. I have not got a new driver. It's an old Cobra that I'm hitting from way back.
I love Cobra.
So, but it's working for me. But my next move is, I think, the Taylormade irons.
I was going to say, what putter do you use?
It's an Odyssey Putter.
Okay. How do you like it?
I like it, actually. You know, I made a putting change recently. I realized, you know, I don't know where I read it, but you know, I was playing the ball in the middle of my stance, and I've always had a hard time finding the line. No matter how much I line up to a spot in front of my ball, and I got it. When I get over the ball, I have a hard time following the line. So I feel like I'm always trying to either push it or pull it, trying to get it on the line. And so I realized that most players, it seems like, on tour, play the ball off their front foot. It's in the front, it's moved up, and so I did that, and now I make a lot more putts. I'm still I still got a long ways to go, but now I'm like I'm dropping a long putt at least once around. You know, I'm making a couple inside 10 feet. Now, I mean, I have my bad holes and stuff, but I'm not, like, in general, I'm not missing those 3 and 4 footers anymore, right? You know, like I was kind of missing all of them, right?
Oh my God, that will like give you nightmares.
Yeah, if there's no break and I'm within 4 feet, I make it pretty much every time now.
Oh, good.
If there's a break there, different story, right? You know, but if it's a straight putt, or even if it's like 6 or 7 feet, I have a lot more confidence now because I can see it because I moved it up off of I play left-handed, so I blew it off to my right foot. So
That's so funny. I was going to tell you that actually the guy who used to design Odyssey putters did this whole kind of study. I don't know if it's out there publicly, but are you right eye dominant? Do you know?
I think I'm left eye dominant, honestly. I'm not, and maybe that's my problem too, but I'm not sure about that. You know, I'm hardcore left. You know, I do everything left-handed. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
I don't know the science behind the left side. I would assume it's the same but opposite. But he did all of these studies with like the putter marking, so like a line versus a dot versus small dots versus vertical versus horizontal, and depending on how dominant you are in which eye is how your putter, that head of your putter should be marked.
okay.
Isn't that fascinating?
It has a line. Yeah, I know, right? It has a line on it, so that does help me. You know, the line. But I tell you, just moving it up has helped, and I forward press a little bit now too.
Yeah.
On it, and so instead of so bringing that angle down just a bit, instead of getting a little jump off the ball, it kind of keeps it down. So that's made a big difference for me.
And also we've got this like putting apparatus
I
here in
gotta
our
put-
living room.
Is it the perfect practice putting mat?
It's
It's
I
like,
don't
here,
know the
let me
name
see
of it, but
Let me see if I can
you
show
think
you.
all the names of all the things. You know?
Do you see it right there? It's
Oh,
sticking out
yes.
from behind the thing. It's this long,
Oh
like,
yeah. We got one of those too.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
like
just,
always in
it's
a
just nice to
quarantine.
be able to, if you get in the habit of making the putt, right?
Right.
You know, making it, putting it in the hole, you know, and
Right.
so.
what's
and
up,
feel
Steve? We got
confident.
Steve
Oh.
tuning in from Bermuda. Hi,
Oh
Steve.
my goodness.
We have Bermuda. We had Scotland. We had
Worldwide.
Atlanta.
We had my sister-in-law getting some pre-wedding skincare tips.
Nice.
Mhm.
Where are you
Yeah.
located?
Orlando.
I'm in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah.
flying into Orlando Friday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, because I'm going to Tampa, so it's the closest I can get. You can't go in and out of Tampa without doing multiple stops and stuff. So I can get a direct flight in and out of Orlando. It's not bad. It's only a little.
Have you played
around.
anywhere in Orlando?
No.
Bay Hill is.
I've been to Bay Hill. I've walked Bay Hill because I've been to the tournament, you know, and so when I was living in Florida. So Bay Hill's great. Yeah.
Isn't the U.S. Open coming here?
That should be on your bucket list.
Yeah. U.S. Open is next year at Torrey Pines.
Are you coming for that? Do you
Yep.
come?
I don't know. I haven't done any majors yet, so that would be like a pretty big deal. So if I come, I know where I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, I was there.
We'll be there for sure.
I was
He's
at,
already
well,
like-
if they have,
my parents live in La Jolla.
if they have, if they, have people coming to it, like,
Good
because
point.
we don't know it. I was there. I went to Torrey on Sunday and just used the range, and the putting green's open, and then they got me on, so I played 9 holes on the North Course. And I asked them if, is there going to be, are they going to allow people to come with, I'm blanking on the word, to not participants, but spectators. And
Right.
they're like, we don't know, nobody knows right now. So I'm like, but that's next year. So
Could you
hopefully.
imagine it being right in your backyard for 1 year and then it passes
can't go.
by you? I would be like so frustrated.
Yeah, I'm going to be the guy on the other side of the fence, right, peeking through.
That's right. You'll be like, you'll knocking door to door. Hey, can I just like hang out on your lawn from Thursday to Sunday? That's hilarious.
Yeah, and don't forget to everyone that's watching, there's a code Chantel20 for 20% off YovinoMD skincare sunblocks. Yeah.
Yes.
Both the sports defense and the physical tint.
Where will we see you on Golf Channel? Like what do I need to watch to see you?
Yes. So I am on Golf Central.
Golf
and
Central.
so that's the night show. Yes.
Got it.
Is
Yep.
that out of the ESPN thing in Disney?
No. That's completely separate. The ESPN thing at Disney, I think they're only doing NBA right now. So
Are is David Faraday there too with you?
Yes. Faraday
Yeah.
is.
Faraday films out of there?
Yeah, I think he actually kind of does a traveling show. So I think they shoot at different locations, but
Okay.
I've worked a bunch of tournaments with him. So
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
always funny.
he is. I have a really inappropriate story that I'll share with you about him. So he has made it no secret that he, used to have a problem with addiction. He talks about it on his show all the time.
Sure.
And so I got to my hotel room in West Palm, and it was just like a Marriott or something. And I checked in, and I had gotten I always get groceries. And so I was like opening the drawers and like, putting stuff in there, or like bread and crackers and stuff. And one of the drawers had a baggie of something white. And I was like, oh my God.
Flour?
I was like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of like a scandal. Like the cops are going to come and like question me and ask what I saw. And so I wouldn't touch it. And I was I am like such a prude. I was like terrified. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be blamed for this. And then it's going to be like on the news that I'm like a user. And so I called the front desk, and they were clearly short staffed, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll have somebody look at it, in an hour. And I'm like, no, I need it out of my room now. And so, I'm thinking the police are going to like show up for this. I don't know. Thinking back, like, I don't think that's what happened. I've watched too many movies.
No, those hospital employees didn't call the police. They were like, thanks.
Yeah.
Coming up.
No,
Right.
I took a picture, and first of all, then they sent like the housekeeper, or actually they sent the chef up because they said they were sending housekeeping, and I'm like, okay. And then the guy in a chef suit came up and removed it.
Yeah.
But
so, home.
Yeah.
I maybe.
Yeah.
So I took a picture, and in the trailer the next day, I showed, everybody on here. I was like, guys, look what was in my hotel room. Like, I cannot believe this at all. And, I was like, is this cocaine? And he was like, no, honey, that's something else. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
He's like, believe me. I was like, oh my word. I will never forget that. I straight up panic attack for about 20 minutes. But end of the story, it was removed. And he was like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. I was like, oh my God. How was I the one that found my hotel room?
So what was it? I feel like I'm kind of like, did something just go over my head? What did it end up being?
He told me it was worse than
meth.
Yeah, it could be.
Yes.
It could be something. It could be heroin or something like that.
Heroin's a white powder?
It has not totally white, right? It has some dark.
I've never seen it.
Anyway, yeah. Either way, it wasn't your stuff. It wasn't your stuff.
People are like, is this about skincare?
Yeah. We'll have to trim this video a little bit to post.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll be on the lookout for you.
Yes.
As long as she lets me watch it.
Yes, I know. I'm going to be texting Sarah while golf's happening, getting her out on the course.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Well, thank you. And seriously, I am like so happy that you guys were the ones that introduced me to actual skincare, so I don't look like a haggard old witch in 5 years.
Yeah, you got to be watch out, especially if you're on the golf courses, right? I mean, those guys. I'm sure you see a lot of leather necks, right? It's funny when they take their hats off; they're all white here. And
yes.
Dark here. Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. All
right, girl. PGA Tour men's line.
When you're back in LA, give us a call. Here comes Ashley to say goodbye to.
All right.
Bye.
Ashley, I'll see you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks for joining us. All right. Bye.
Bye.